Okay, so it's the same old
Unless
idea,
you've thought
right?
about it, what happens
Unless it affects you, then you don't care. But the problem is garbage is one of those issues that's out of sight, out of mind. Flush the toilet, it's gone, put it in the trash
But
can,
it affects
disappears.
everybody. Everybody makes garbage. Your garbage has to go somewhere. Whether you live in a city, a rural community, whether you're a part of a business, you make garbage. And you're paying somebody to do something with that garbage.
And it's going to wind up somewhere. And the problem is that somewhere is the landfill. And that land is disappearing because of federal regulations? Or just because we filled it up?
Both. Both at the same time. Regulations are tighter. We have less space to put them because we have greater volumes. And it's harder to get a permit for a landfill today. Nobody wants to live next to a landfill.
About it, the landfill.
I mean, once you stand out there
backing
and
in.
see all that garbage being dumped out, and the compactor comes and pushes it away, the volume of it, I mean, just in an hour's time.
Maybe the best idea would be then to have everybody be forced to take a trip to the landfill and find out how much garbage. Waste is an expensive proposition, isn't it?
It probably is the biggest single challenge outside law enforcement and drug enforcement problems that we'll be facing in the next 10 years. We'll spend pretty close to $1,200,000 in direct operations for the manpower and equipment just related to covering solid waste. And all of that expense is going to be borne by the customer. Ultimately, the public has to pay the bill. That's when they will really appreciate the difference in recycling and reducing the volumes of waste that have to be covered at the landfill, because we'll reduce that expense that we'll have to pass on to them. At our current use, the volumes that are being buried at the landfill, we would have 20 years on the site that we currently have permitted. We think that we have a well-operated landfill. We're going to keep it that way so that we can preserve this asset. Landfills, we've had over half of the landfills that were permitted in the state have been closed in the last 4 years. There are just less places to dispose of it, but yet we're generating higher volumes of solid waste.
They're trucking off their garbage to the Beaumont landfill. Beaumont's being a good neighbor, but for how long can Beaumont afford to do that?
Right, and then they're paying the price. I mean, they're paying a more expensive price than those who truck it, who are in the city of Beaumont. It costs those cities more money, right?
We're between 45 and 60,000 residents that are basically at the mercy of another landfill. When we first opened this landfill and started dumping out here, there were no regulations. You could do basically anything you wanted. You could burn, you could bury, you could do anything you wanted. As the 60s came around, it came a little stricter. The 70s, a lot of federal laws came into effect. In the 80s, more laws came into effect. And finally, with the wetland issues, this being a wetland, that finally put the nail in the coffin. We couldn't keep it open any longer. I think from just looking at it, you'd never dream that it was a landfill. If Beaumont was not gracious enough to allow us to use our landfill, then the cities of Needle and Port Neches and Groves would be in the trucking business. Garbage bills could double if we were forced to have to truck our garbage another 100 miles or so. we're in a real predicament here. Either we're going to pay now or we're going to pay later. Either way, we're going to have to do something to make sure that we use as little space as possible in whatever landfill we're in. At the present time, it's going to be Beaumont, and hopefully for many years to come.
Okay, so we basically decided landfills are a problem, right? There are those who have them, those who don't, and then those who are caught in between.
Who don't know what's going to happen 6 months down the road, that they, for whatever reason, their landfill may close.
But they still have the obligation, is what you're saying.
To collect garbage, they have to.
Well, I think the citizens are not seeing any problem right now because their garbage is still picked up twice a week, and their service is going right on. We may not have a place to put our solid waste in the next few months if the permitting process and the EPA regulations for the Orange County landfill cause that to close. Part of the problem arose at the Orange County landfill because a road, Farm Road 1442, cut the landfill, and the regulatory departments said, well, we're not going to let you use the 35 acres on the other side of the road. They basically withdrew the permit. We first, short-term, have to look for alternative places to put the solid waste. We're going to look at such things as incineration, owning our own landfill.
Now, that's not an easy proposition in this day and age, though. I mean, you're looking at a permitting problem already with the county.
It's expensive, it's not quick, and so that's not something that the City of Orange would particularly like to do, but on the other hand, we can't wait 2 years to talk about it either. We've got to look into those possibilities now.
Hey, everybody's got to get rid of their garbage. It's not exclusive to only residents. Businesses have to get rid of waste. Industry has to get rid of waste. And somebody's got to collect it.
That's what they're here for. I mean, that's what their business is to make money from the collection of solid waste.
BFI operates currently in 3 counties, Jefferson, Hardin, and Orange counties primarily. We have about 27 revenue-producing vehicles on the street at any one time. Their services range from medical waste to sweeping to portable services to commercial, residential, and industrial trash removal.
So trash really is a big business, isn't it?
Yes, sir, it is. Increasingly so when we find the demand being placed on private enterprise to take over a lot of municipal contracts that are available out there.
But you, like many of the municipalities, face the same problems of where do we put it once we've collected it?
Increasing regulation is making it more difficult to set it down anywhere. And we find ourselves transporting it across county lines and even in some cases state lines to get rid of refuse, depending on the type and the commodity.
Is it a pretty competitive business?
Extremely competitive. I have 4 major competitors in this market that are national companies. It's been an extremely tight market. A lot of services out on the street.
What happens if you live someplace outside of a city? You live out in a rural area, you don't live in an incorporated area, you still make trash.
Right, but I can only tell you from experience, you either burn it in a barrel, or you make a garbage pile, or you take it yourself to the landfill. Now, I guess the other option is there are guys out there who are willing to come to your house and pick it up, but it's not on your city water bill.
Our customers are basically anyone that lives in the rural area of Orange County. It's where that your big trucks really don't want to run because they can't make a payload. These little trucks that we run, they may pick up a stop on this dead end road, turn around and run down the end of the road and pick up another customer. A big truck can't do that.
Do you think the days of the independent trash hauler are numbered? Are you guys going to become extinct?
Mom and pop operation is a thing of the past. Let's face it, we're facing the times where if you don't have $100,000 to $250,000 to improve your equipment and to pay the landfill, you're not going to be able to stay in business. My dumping fees at the landfill jumped $8,000 a month. You just round that off to say 2,000 customers. That's $4 a customer that I'd have to raise their rates. If they don't recycle, face it, it's only a matter of time before they're going to have to pay more for the garbage rate.
How much is too much?
Well,
how much before people, instead of paying you to haul it off, dump it out in their back 40?
I see it right now. Already in Orange County.
If those people didn't have a garbage pickup service, what would they do with their garbage?
Burn it. They would burn it, throw it down a road. You would see your back roads in the county start to get littered up with garbage. You would see every family, household would have a trash pile burning, or they'd have to either recycle and take what wasn't recyclable to the landfill.
You think is that why we face so much garbage and so much plastic? Because people...
They don't realize what happens to it. How many people you think have ever been to a landfill, who've ever stood out there and watched what goes on out there? It's not a pretty sight.
No. It's not a comfortable place to be. No. And I guess it makes you stop and I think it gives you a whole new vision of recycling when you go out there.
You see the waste.
You see it. You see cardboard boxes coming down the chute. You see paper. And these are easy recyclables.
And if you know that those products could be reused.
Right.
But now they're being put into a landfill where the only thing they'll do is produce some heat from decay, produce some methane gas 20 years from now, and in the meanwhile just take up space. And that's the end of it.
And when you go places and they're not doing it, it bothers you to see those aluminum cans going in a regular garbage can.
We started recycling about how long ago, Ruth?
A couple of years ago.
And we started recycling when All Saints began their program over at this school. And we wanted to start doing it to kind of help save, we've been reading all about saving space in the landfill and I guess helping the environment. We felt like that was a good way to contribute.
Me. I'm mainly in charge, but everybody helps.
Well, she's in charge, but she just sticks the stuff on the counter and I have to go put it in the trash can.
And I don't think we've ever really been environmental fanatics. I think we just sort of started reading and learning about it maybe a little bit earlier than other people, and now that it's become a big deal, people are realizing it's a viable alternative, and it's not more trouble than it's worth.
I think this one right here is for aluminum cans, too. Is that the third one? Yeah, you can throw them in there. We began the program a year ago, this coming up in November, and a group of parents got together who had been recycling just personally and decided that if we could do it on site here at St. Anne's School with the children, seeing it happen, that it could become a community project. Everyone could be involved and the children would learn just really a valuable lesson. We've approached it what we consider to be a moral standpoint. We feel like the earth was a gift from God and that the children need to understand that and their obligation to take care of that gift. Thank you so much. That's great.
Why do you think people have responded so well to it?
I've thought about that a lot. I think people are frustrated about environmental issues. I think they want to do something. A lot of people feel like air pollution, water pollution is something they can't hands-on have anything to do with, but they can save their garbage. They can make an impact by recycling.
Has there been a lot of interest from other people wanting to start programs?
I get a lot of interest from other people wanting to know how we got started, where we got going. Major problem seems to be finding a recycler to deal with. But yes, I'm very interested that we have people from Koontz, Silsbee drive down here to bring us their trash because they don't have the opportunity at home to recycle. Big thing is I think people are starting, and this is where it's got to go, they're starting to buy recyclable containers. If they have a choice between one of these styrofoam egg cartons and a cardboard one, I see more people telling me, oh, I buy the cardboard because I know we can recycle it. And that's what we need, consumerism. That's the answer.
It's not hard to do at all. Anyone can do it. Any small town, any small city can do just what we're doing, and it will cut back on your flow of your garbage.
You know, this differs quite a bit from what you see in other cities. I mean, it's sort of a low-tech recycling, a pickup truck, doing it all by hand. You think that's the way to go, though, in a smaller town?
Well, it keeps your costs down, and in these smaller towns, you don't have a big budget, you know, to work with. The more you keep the overhead down, the better off you're going to be with your people. Because if the people are having to pay too much to do something, they're not going to do it. And as time goes along, we'll have to get the equipment for it, because more and more people are going to be recycling, and it's just going to be too much work to try to do manually. It's everybody's problem. Every city, every county, every state, every individual. It's everybody's problem. And if everyone would deal with it just a little bit, you'd be surprised at what we could do. There's some people that don't want to be told that they have a problem, and there are others that know they have a problem and don't want to be approached with it.
Did anyone ever look you in the eye and say, Bobby Gibson, this is never going to work?
Sure. Sure, there's people. I mean, we pass many houses today on our recycling effort. They couldn't care less. But someday, hopefully, they'll realize what they're doing.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Carol Williams. I work for the City of Beaumont. I am the recycling coordinator. It's something that's on a national realm, and then here locally, you know, you hear so much about it. Girl Scout troops, Boy Scout troops, elementary schools, high schools, everybody's interested in it. Okay, they're recyclable, and the name for them is polyethylene tetrafluoride plastic. Okay. We started out with smaller projects, and that's more or less a reverse to other cities that started out like right off in curbside recycling. And of course, with the establishment of our Recycling Learning Center, we are a permanent facility open 8 to 5 just to help the public to learn about recycling. And of course, building up into, from all of these programs, will be our poly curbside recycling program. These type of cans are recyclable as well. We plan to use the information and to develop a citywide curbside recycling program in 1992. It's just common sense. Things that don't have to be thrown in the landfill, they really shouldn't be.
Historically, though, you look at it, and how do we know about other people? The way we know about other people and other civilizations, we go dig in their landfill. We go look for their trash, and it kind of tells us, well, they used this kind of tool, or they used this kind of, they didn't have packaged products, and maybe that's our biggest problem, is the number of packaged products that we're throwing
today,
away.
something like 40% of all our garbage is just packaging. It was designed to be thrown away. What are archaeologists going to say about our society 200 years from now when they dig up our landfills?
And I've got customers that just think that recycling, you're going to get wealthy on recycling. And people don't understand there's not any money in recycling at this time.
There's going to come a time in the near future when the cost to bury it is going to be more expensive than the cost to recycle it. That's when recycling will really take hold.
we've really worked through the kids. I think that's where some kind of psychology, they make their parents come and recycle because they're educated. But we've gotten some from the church, and I'd say almost half the people that come have nothing to do with the school or the church. They just feel a real concern for the environment, and this is convenient, and they come by.
Do something now. Do something now while you have an opportunity to do it. This should have been done 50 years ago. We didn't see it.